Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews Now 2, and today we're going to take a look at what is the cheapest ATX case in the market right now. This is the Rio Toro CR100BE. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so when I said cheapest case at the moment, what I should have said is the cheapest case that actually does make some sense. So this is the Rio Toro CR100BE. This is a relatively new release from the people over at Rio Toro, and I was slightly intrigued, so I asked them to send one over for me to take a look at. And actually, I thought it was going to be horrendous. I honestly did. A £20 case that fits ATX motherboards, 160mm CPU coolers, 350mm graphics cards, 280mm power supplies, and has room for 4 120mm fans. This thing shouldn't be very good at all for £20, but actually I've taken it apart, I've had a look around inside, and there's actually quite a lot to like about it. So let's go through it and we'll give it a bit of a tour and see if you think it might be right for you. Now, where I actually think this actually makes fantastic sense is for mass system builders. If you're kitting out an office, or maybe you've got like a workstation or something you need to do, you don't need RGB, you don't need tempered glass, all that kind of stuff. You just want a computer that works, keeps cool, and just does what it needs to do, then this is going to be totally up your street. Also, if you're building a gaming PC and you're on a ridiculously low budget, what the money you saved here, the next kind of step up really for a decent PC case of ATX size, realistically you're looking about £40 to £50. Whereas the £25 that you're going to save by buying one of these, you can put that £25 towards getting the next processor up, or that extra stick of RAM, the better power supply, all those kinds of things, which actually make real tangible difference. So anyway, that's enough of me waffling on. Let's take a look at this thing. So first of all, at the front, what have we got? So we've got a big power button, nice and easy. Again, if you're building this for someone else and you kind of put the PC in front of them, they're not going to have any difficulties. They know what that is. That is a power button. It's very obvious. You've got two magnets on the front for 5¼ bays, so optical drives, card readers, all those kinds of things. No problems at all, you can fit those in nice and easily. And it's actually quite a nice change to see a 5¼ bay actually on a PC case. It does bring back a lot of fond memories. Looking down at the I/O, so we've got USB 2.0, USB 2.0 and USB 3.0. We've also got a headset and microphone jack. Again, these are really super simple ports to understand. The blue one, you can tell it's USB 3. The green one, you can tell it's a headphone jack. The pink one, you can tell it's a microphone jack. This is designed with simplicity and ease of use in mind. You don't want somebody on the other end of the phone saying, oh, that PC you just built me, which one do I plug my headset into? It's obvious, it shows you exactly what it is on the front. This is no frills, but super, super simple. I really do like it. You've got a little bit of an accent on the front, the Rio Toro red, and we've got this kind of nice piano black reflective section on the front, which actually doesn't seem to be a fingerprint magnet. You can quite happily touch this and it doesn't look filthy straight away. Pretty good. So let's move around to the side. So on this side, this is going to be a blast from the past for a lot of you. Side mounted fan grills. Absolutely brilliant. These are going to be really useful. Again, this isn't designed for really high-end systems, although you can put a sleeper in here if you wanted to. There's no reason why you shouldn't. And with two 120mm fan mountings on the side, at least you can get some decent cooling into both your graphics card and into the CPU. Now recently, in certain tests that I've seen online in various videos, this side entrance cooling actually is still probably one of the preferable ways of keeping a graphics card cool. So maybe if you're building an old system with like an i5 and you've got like a really old graphics card like a Radeon R9 290, something that generates a lot of heat, or maybe a GTX 780, those kind of things that really do generate a lot of heat, you can stick a 120mm fan in there, keep it a little bit cooler, jobs are good 'un. So let's take the side panel off and we'll have a closer look inside. Again, at this price point, we've actually even got thumb screws. Who would have thought it? Thumb screws on a £20 case. Now actually this case is bizarre because it actually will take ATX, micro ATX and ITX if you wanted to. When I first saw this, I thought, oh, this is a micro ATX case. But then I looked closer, no, it actually is a full ATX case. How bizarre. It's so small and so cheap, yet so flexible. And luckily, the side panel is quite rigid, not so flexible, which is a good sign. So taking a look inside, what have we got? So we've got the traditional kind of setup in this front area. So we've got this section here, which is for attaching your 5¼ inch drives, card readers, all those kinds of things. A nice little thing I saw inside is actually there's metal flaps there which you can raise or lower depending on what you've got mounted in there. So you can put a 3½ inch drive in there, or maybe an old zip drive or something, that kind of thing. So 3½ inch drives you can mount in there. You could get an adapter as well and put another 2½ inch drive if you wanted to. But essentially you're looking at 2 5¼ 2 3½, and 2 2.5 drives. There's a mounting sled on the side here for a 2.5 inch drive. There's also a section here for mounting drives. You could possibly squeeze another 2 3½ inch drives in there. They would be a little bit tight. You generally don't want to keep them really clamped close together, so essentially one drive in there and then another drive mounted on top would be ideal. Moving further back, so we've got a nice big section here for ATX boards. It won't support full-size eATX, unfortunately, just ATX, micro ATX and ITX like we said. There's actually a punch out on the bottom for putting your cables through, so if you want to mount the cables from behind. But again, the beauty of this is you've got solid panels both sides, so you don't have to really worry too much about cable management or ketchup and mustard cabling. So if you're looking to kind of sell on a PC, which is a little bit older now, but you want it to make it look nice and new and smart, this is really, really good idea. Now, at the bottom, where normally you'd see our power supply basement area, there's actually a fan mounting point there, so you can put a 120mm fan in that bottom section, either pushing in or blowing, whichever you want to do, entirely up to you. There isn't any filtration there at all, so if you're pulling in, obviously you're going to be pulling in dust as well, but if you're pushing out, then it's going to be absolutely fine. On the rear, we've got a mounting point for an 80mm fan, unfortunately. No 120mm mountings on the back, which is slightly unfortunate, but not really a deal breaker, especially at this price. You've got a top mounted power supply, so again, if you have got a slightly warmer system, when you've got the power supply here with the exhaust fan there, blowing all the hot air at the top, for me, generally this works really well as a setup for removing heat out of the system and also minimising the need for additional fans. You could probably get away with a single 120 in the front and leave the rest to be how it exactly as it is. No problems whatsoever. Got a massive punch out at the top to allow your cables through from the back. There isn't a great deal of room on the back for cable management, which we'll have a look at in a minute. But again, you've got some punch outs where they're needed. The mounting pillars are mostly pre-installed, although they do supply a bag with brass pillars and also silver screws. It's been a little while since we've seen those. Talking of things we haven't seen for a little while, also when it comes to the front I/O, the connections for the front I/O, we've got these color-coded cables for your reset, power switch, power LED and hard drive LED. Again, this actually is a kind of a hark back to the past where everything was color-coded, so you knew where everything plugged in. But again, like I said, there isn't any glass on here, there's no acrylic, so it doesn't really matter what's on the inside. The other USB connections, so we've got a USB 2.0 connector, and we've also got a USB 3.0 connector for the front panel I/O. On the back, you've got 7 punch outs for PCI Express expansion, or PCI expansion if you're doing a slightly older system. Got a bracket on the side here, so again, like I said, this is a 2.5 inch drive mounting area, and this bit just pops out, although it's not entirely obvious how it comes out when you first do it. There's little clips on the back which just pop out, so you can mount your 2.5 inch drive in there and then put it back in. Or alternatively, if you want to, you can leave that section open. If you've got a particularly large graphics card or something which is coming in this way, you can leave that out. Again, entirely up to you. That is on a thumb screw as well, which again is really nice to see at that kind of price point. There you can get a closer look at the drive mounting bays there. So like I said, 2 3.5 inch drives there, or a single 2.5 on the top also. You actually can fit quite a lot of drives in here. I am actually seriously considering using this as my base for my NAS, which I'm hopefully going to be building in the near future. For ease of use, for drives, actually ticks quite a lot of boxes, especially being that I don't have to worry too much about cable management. I can use a cheaper, higher wattage power supply and let the NAS run 24/7 and not have to worry about it all looking pretty. Pretty decent. So moving around to the back again, we've got thumb screws on the rear panel. It's really surprising to see thumb screws on this case anywhere, let alone pretty much everywhere. So again, the panel, it's actually quite a rigid panel, pretty solid. And moving around to this back side, so we don't have a cutout in this central area for the CPU cooler, which I guess at this price point isn't really a deal breaker. It would have been nice to have seen this section cut out. Again, if you want to get creative, get yourself a Dremel out or a cutter and just cut that section out if you really feel you need to. I think that area probably actually adds a little bit of stability to the chassis. And actually there isn't very much wiggle to the chassis at all. It's actually pretty rigid. Got a nice big cutout, like I said here, for putting cables through. Again, because our power supply is going to be in this top section, you can use that to loop cables around to this side to hard drives, optical drives, whatever you want to do. But again, because it's all enclosed in these cases, you don't have to worry about it, cable management too much. You can just throw it all through on the inside. It isn't going to make a great deal of difference. Also, we've got this big cutout section here. Again, don't know what you use it for, but it's there if you want it. Got a punch out at the bottom for putting through your cables for your HD audio, that kind of stuff. Again, if you want to. If not, you can just run it through the inside. And we'll take a quick look at the front panel. So I'll take the front panel off. You can see the mounting section for the 120mm fan. Now the front section comes off relatively easy. There's just a handle grab on the bottom, as there normally tends to be. And this front section pops off. And we have got captive cables, as you probably expect at this price point. And now you can get a closer look at some of the ventilation on the bottom. Although there is a ventilation grill there, but essentially most of the air is going to come in through that open grab handle section, as it does with most cases. So on this front section now, you can probably make out a little bit better. So there's the raised section there, or you can lower that if you don't want to put an additional drive in there. Again, little flexible metal bars. This section here is for mounting either an 80mm or 120mm fan. So if you are going to be using like a NAS or something like that, or some sort of file server, you can put your hard drives and your SSDs on there, have airflow coming straight into them, and what doesn't affect them will blow straight past towards your GPU and then gently rise out the back with the power supply. So airflow is actually going to be really good in this, considering it's so cheap. It is actually ridiculous how cheap it is and how much flexibility you've got for the price. I don't think there's anything else on the market which actually comes even close to touching this in terms of pure performance and what it can do for the money. I think it is absolutely brilliant. The next best thing really is probably the CITF3, but that's a micro ATX case and its looks aren't everyone's cup of tea. But if you just want a kind of understated chassis for building a NAS, a cheap PC, or even a sleeper, I think you could do a lot worse than this. Okay, so there you go. That has been the Rio Toro CR100BE. What an amazing blast from the past this has been. And I actually just noticed then, it even's got a sticker on there saying Microsoft Windows powered. How cool is that? So if you're a system integrator, this is going to be absolutely perfect. It's going to look the business and your clients are going to be super, super happy. And obviously the accountant's going to be super happy as well, because you've spent essentially £16 plus taxes to buy this case. So you've saved somebody a lot of money somewhere. So in summary, yeah, very, very pleased. This, I haven't seen anything actually this good for the money for a long, long time. I think the last one was a Zalman Z1 or something years and years ago, probably about 10 years ago now, which was about £15 on eBuyer, but it was only a micro ATX chassis and had absolutely atrocious cooling. Whereas this actually looks the part. It actually does look like a business PC. You can imagine this having an Acer badge on it quite happily. But there you go. Anyway, I'm digressing. So let me know in the comments what you think of this. Is it trash? Is it cool? Is it retro? Is it something that you would use for yourself for a NAS build, a retro build, whatever it may be? Let me know. I want to hear your comments in the comments section below. But in the meantime, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.